Okay, thank you for checking out A1 Math, and today we're going to talk about how do you subtract polynomials. How do you subtract polynomials? So let's take a look at our first example. Okay, the first method we want to use for subtracting polynomials is vertical format. Okay, now it's important to keep in mind that when you're subtracting polynomials that in your second polynomial, you want to change all the signs so that you can add the polynomials together. Okay, so I took my subtraction in the middle between the two polynomials and changed it to addition. And in my second polynomial, I changed all the signs to their opposite. Okay. Once I do that, now I can stack the polynomials on top of each other and add them vertically. Okay, so the first polynomial here, 5x plus 2, is missing an x squared. So I filled in the place with a 0 x squared. So I have 0x squared plus 5x plus 2. Below that, I'm going to go ahead and put in my 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. And once I do that, I can go ahead and add the terms together. Here I get 2x squared. As I add my x's together, I get 8x. And my constants is going to be negative 4 plus 2 will be negative 2. Here's another example. Go ahead and see if you can solve this one. Don't forget to put in your signs here and stack on top of each other and add combine the like terms. So the first thing you want to do is change your signs so that you get plus, negative, and negative, going opposite to the terms previously. Now I'm going to write out my y squared plus y minus 1, which match the degrees in my second polynomial already, so I just don't need to put in a 0. Then I take my 2y squared, my negative y, and my negative 1 and place it up under there. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So that's going to give me a 3y squared plus 0y minus 2. And then I just simplify the 3y squared minus 2. Okay. Give this question some thought. What is the effect of multiplying a polynomial by negative 1? Now take a look at these questions here and see if you can get the correct answer. Okay. Now, the next way we're going to subtract polynomials is by using a horizontal format. Now, in doing that, what we want to do is still change the signs in our second term. Second polynomial. But then combine like terms. Let's take a look. So here I rewrote my first polynomial as it was. Now, technically you're multiplying by a negative 1 and changing each and every one of these. So now I'm going to have a negative 2q squared, a negative q, and a positive 4. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and combine like terms. So you can see my q squareds, my negative q's, and my constants are going to go together. Group just like this. Then I simplify. I get 0q squared here. Negative and a negative is going to be negative 2q. And negative 8 plus 4 is going to be negative 4. Once I do that, I can simplify and just get rid of this 0q squared and say negative 2q minus 4. Let's take a look at another example. See if you can solve this one and make sure that you change your signs in your second polynomial. Once you do that, you're going to group your like terms together, and then you're going to simplify. Okay, the first thing we get here is we change all our signs. Okay, now with all my signs changed correctly, I have a negative 2b squared minus b minus a minus 4. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and combine like terms. Now, on this one, it's not a lot of like terms here. Let's just take a look and see what we got. So I've got 2ab, which came from here, a negative 2b here, negative 2b squared, and I got a negative b from here and a negative b from here combined, and a negative a and a positive a combined here, and a negative 4. Now I'm going to go ahead and simplify and put it in order of degrees. So it's going to have a negative 2b squared here, 2ab here, negative b and negative b is negative 2b. The a minus a is going to cancel out, and I'm left with my negative 4 here. So here's another question upon it. Does the order in which you subtract polynomials affect the difference? Explain. Take a look here at 6 and 7 and see if you can solve and get the correct answer. Okay, here's a real-world example. It says the cost in dollars of producing X toothbrushes is given by the polynomial 400,000 plus 3X, and the revenue generated for sales is given by the polynomial 20X minus 0.00004X squared. Write a polynomial expression for the profit from making and selling X toothbrushes. Then find the profit for selling 200,000 toothbrushes. So you got to think about two things. One, the cost in dollars, which is represented here, and the revenue generated, represented here. We want to find out what would it be as far as the profit. So what is profit? Well, profit will equal the revenue minus the cost. How much money you generate minus the cost it takes to do it. So this is important to figure out which one comes first so you know what to subtract. So we're going to subtract the revenue, which is circled in red first, from the cost, which is circled in black. All right. Now that we have this, we're going to use the formula profit equal revenue minus cost and subtract. But again, we want to keep in mind we want to go ahead and multiply by that -1 and make sure all of these signs change. Now that we have a -400,000 minus 3x, we're going to go ahead and combine all our like terms. Okay, so the only like terms we have is this 20x and this -3x. Okay, combine those, you get 17x. So our polynomial for finding the profit is going to be 0.00004x squared plus 17x minus 400,000. Now that's the first part of solving this. The second part is to figure out how much profit would we get if we sold 200,000 toothbrushes. So since this is the formula for solving profit, all we have to do is plug in the known into our unknown. If we know it's 200,000 toothbrushes, we're going to plug it in to this polynomial and figure out how much money will we make. So in doing so, we're going to plug in 200,000 into our equation here. So 200,000 squared times 0.00004. We'll take that number and add it with 17 times 200,000, and then we subtract 400,000. When we do that, we get 1,400,000, which is 1.4 million from the sales of 200,000 toothbrushes. Take a look at this other real-world example and see if you can solve this. Here's some scaffolding to help you on your way, but if this is more confusing than not, go ahead and just solve it without all of this and see if you can figure out A, what's the correct polynomial to use for the profit, and B, how much profit would you generate if you sold or if you sell 30,000 cars. Okay, and again, this is how you subtract polynomials. Today we subtracted polynomials in a vertical format, a horizontal format, and by modeling polynomials in a real world example. Thank you for tuning in and have a nice night.